Okay, in the last video I went through my favourite static planche and front lever training program, the one I'm using at the moment, and I also alternate that with some dynamic work. So today I'm going to take through that dynamic session, so basically moving between an L-sit position and planche and then doing front lever pulls. I'm going to show how you can break it down and scale it and how you can ramp it up doing this session. And then I've got 2 or 3 questions to answer at the end, because I've started that new thing at the end of all my videos. I'm doing the Q&A, so if you stick any training questions you might have down in this video's comments, and then I'll answer them in the next video. Now this video will work as a bit of a follow along, so just make sure your hands and wrists are nicely warmed up and we'll jump in. So to start with, I'm just going to warm the scapula up with some active passive positions and some protraction holds. Now I am turning the hands out, so externally rotating, and most of the work I do today is all on the boxes and a bar. Now you can use P-bars or rings for the pulling work. I'm also warming up the L-sit position, so if you struggle with just the normal tuck L-sit position, don't go straight to that. Start in just a support position with your legs hanging below you, but just make sure the shoulders are backing down and the chest is open. Okay, then I'm going to do the same but up on the bar this time. So I'm going to hang from the bar, ideally shoulder width apart, and I'm just going to go from a passive position to an active position. So I'm just trying to get as much movement through the scapula without bending the elbows. And you could either do more reps or just do slow reps with small holds at the top and the bottom of each position. Then I'm going to bring the knees up towards the chest with just some knee lifts. Okay, then I'm going to take a small rest, and then I'm going to go into some dynamic work. So I'm going to start to go from that tuck L-sit position up to a protraction hold of some sort. Now if you're a little bit more comfortable with this, you could go straight up to a tuck planche and back down again. If not, just go into a protraction hold, and you could even have toe assist there if you need to. The goal with this one is just to go from support to a protraction hold, so make sure you've got that real rounded upper back position and you shouldn't see your shoulder blades. And then back up on the bar. This time I'm going to go all the way up to a tuck front lever and back down again. Now this is quite comfortable for me, so this is still part of the warm-up. So if you find it challenging, use a swing to get up and then do a slow eccentric, or on the rings you could kick yourself upside down and then just come down with control. Again, only working the eccentric. But ideally you'd be going up and down now if you're working toward more advanced front lever pulls. Okay, next set, back onto the box again. I'm going to go from that L-sit position now up to a tuck planche. So I'm actually going to hold the tuck planche for 2 or 3 seconds before coming back down. And again, work the variation that you can do with control. So it could be the toe assist, or it could even be an advanced tuck if you're much stronger in the planche than I am. But just remember, we will be ramping this up every set, so don't make it too hard too fast. Same with the front lever pulls. This time I'm going to open up to a bit more of an advanced tuck position. I'm going to have the knees away from the chest. Again, this time I'm going to straighten into more of an L-sit position, so you don't have to straighten the legs all the way. You could go somewhere in between, but from a straight, more of a pike position, I'm now going to go through to a frog flat back planche position. Again, hold for a couple of seconds, come back down again. Front lever pulls, I've ramped up a little bit more. Instead of just having the knees away from the chest, I'm now going to try and have a bit more of an open hip. So what I mean by that, if this is a closed hip, this is an open hip. So you could go all the way to something like a front lay position, which would be like that. So that would be fully open but closed at the knee. Okay, next one I'm going to go from the L-sit position. I'm going to try and open up to a straddle planche now. For me, my battle now is to try and open the hip as much as possible, but try and still hold that protraction and not take the hip too high. And then back up onto the bar. Now I am a little bit limited with the ceiling here because the bar is very close to the ceiling. If I had a lower bar, I would rest my hips on the bar and be able to open up into like a straighter position before coming down. So I'd actually make the eccentric harder than the concentric. Okay, and then the next couple of sets, I'm going to really try and max out on that planche position. So I'm trying to head towards the full planche. I'm trying to open the hip as much as I can. I can just about get there. I do start to fall apart a little bit, so my protraction isn't exactly where I want it to be, and my right elbow wants to bend. And then the same on the bar. I'm going to try and max out now, so I'm going to try and get as close to a full body straight front lever pull. Now I played around with 2 or 3 more sets like that. Now this planche session could also be done in a straddle position, so I could go from like a stalder position through to the planche and back again. And I tend to alternate those sessions, so one I'll do in the L-sit position, one I'll do in the straddle L. One of the benefits for the straddle L position for me is that I can do it on the floor. Well, with the L-sit position, I need to raise my hands up onto P-bars or boxes. Okay, let's jump into the questions from the last video. So number one is, do you think training legs is necessary for a person who focuses on hand balance and body weight strength? Now, I definitely do some sort of leg conditioning, but what I would do is I'd head towards more of the mobility type strength work as opposed to the super heavy squats and deadlifts, especially if you're someone that already has quite big legs. So doing things like pistol squats, Cossack squats, straddle ups, active positions in splits. So you're getting that strength and conditioning response, but you're also getting the benefits of increasing the mobility in those ranges. Okay, next question. What would you do to increase work capacity when doing handstands? Now we can look at work capacity in lots of different ways. We can look at how much time you spend on your hands doing a session. We can look at the intensity of the session, so how hard you're working on each set, and also the skill level you're working, and just be spending more and more time on your hands doing more and more different sets and reps. Some of the mistakes people make with work capacity is when they first start, they do way too many kick-ups in the middle of the room and not enough wall drills. Same when they get into the world of one arms, they start to lift the hand and start to fall out the handstands more than they're actually holding fingertip positions. And most people with this body weight handstand work will be training way too harder variations than they're actually capable of, which brings their time under tension down. So if your goal is to increase your work capacity, I would just go to slightly easier variations of whatever drills you're doing and hold for longer time or do a few more sets. And then as you slowly advance with your skills, you keep doing that. So you're just taking a step down from whatever you're doing and doing more sets and reps and time under tension with the easier drills, and slowly your work capacity should increase. So stick any more questions down in the comments of this video if you've got any questions about the planche and front lever session we just done. Thumbs up and subscribe would be appreciated, and I'll speak to you next time. Thanks guys.